So we want to welcome each and every one of us to this great day. Can't wait to hear what our mentors have. And you know, the beautiful thing is that it's the mentors who came up with this topic. Coaches, feel rewarded, feel you have grown, that our children, the work of our hands, can decide we want to do something. Just give us the platform. For me, that's an achievement. And we can as well retire, you know, Stacy, Daphne. The rest will just take over, Kina Lillian. Now, the resolution for our debate is to end the circle of violence and femicide. Women ought to change. To end the circle of violence and femicide, women ought to change. But before we go to that debate, I want to give a chance to each one of us in half a second. Just share something that has made you happy this week. You may have been sad, you may have been down, but just one thing. Please just share. You never know how you change your life. And from there, then I'll hand over to the judges. So I don't know whether I call from the way my screen is lined up. Start with Coach Rose Ndumu. Just 1 minute of what has made you happy this week.
Right. Good evening.
Good evening to you.
Thank you so much. I'm glad to be here. I thank God for the rains. The rain, just seeing the rain has made me happy, and I really thank God for that. Thank you.
Amen. Wow. I had somebody else say that yesterday. Okay, James, Coach James. and feel free to put on your
Yes.
photos. What are they called? Yes, unless your network is not strong. Yes.
Good evening.
Good evening to you.
Yes, this week I've been so happy just talking to the parents, to the girls that I'm teaching every day, commenting on how happy they are seeing their daughters grow.
Wow, wow, wow. We also met parents here. What good memories. Thank you. Thanks, Coach. Lillian, I can see now you're back fully. Just one thing that has made you happy.
Good evening to you all. I'd say something that has made me happy this week is having finished a book that I was purposing to finish to read this week, and I did that. So yeah, that has made me very happy.
Wow, reminding me of how many I still have to read. Douglas, thank you. Thank you, Douglas.
Evening.
Evening to you.
One thing that has made me happy this week is that I've met new friends, finished my assignments on time.
Wow. We appreciate. Thank you. Wow. Nice things. Stacy?
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Good evening.
One thing that has really made me excited is seeing you all and actually being in this platform.
Wow, what a wonderful affirmation. Much appreciated. Thanks, Stacy. We go to Antonine. Coach Antonine must have.
Now, whatever has made me happy here, I'm here. Whatever has made me happy this week, I was just reading the information that people gave on the impact of debating for emerging voices. And I can't wait to share.
Wow. Wow. I'm glad
it is lovely. And these people can speak good English.
Okay. Okay.
And the ideas are marvelous.
Wow.
My dog is barking again.
As usual.
So let me finish up. Maybe I take the dog far away so that it doesn't disturb. But it has been really marvelous to read.
Yes.
What are the thoughts that people have? Thank you very much for those who found time to feel. I feel really humbled. If this is what we are able to gain within this short time, then we have every reason to continue doing this.
Wow.
Thank you.
Amazing. Even the dog makes us happy because we know when you're here, it has to bark. Walter, Judge Walter.
Hi everyone. Good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah. What made me happy this week? What was the question again?
Yes, one thing, just for one thing that has made you happy in 1 minute.
Life. I'm strong and kicking.
Wow, that's a good one. Don't take it for granted. Thank you. Coach Isaac.
Yep, thank you. Hi everyone. Good to see you. Yes, I'm back. It's been a tough one this week, the whole of this week. But on 9th, actually, as I was going through the various WhatsApp profiles, I read this. Your hardest times often lead to the greatest moments of your life. Keep going, and it encouraged me. Thank you.
Wow, like that. Beautiful. Daphne,
you.
Thank you. Daphne?
What has made me happy this week is that I've been able to change my thoughts on how I view my steps forward in my life, because what I think about is what I attract. And if I have bad thoughts, then bad things will come. But if I have good thoughts, then good things will come. And that's what I've been focusing on this week. So that's what has made me really happy.
Excellent. Thank you. It's called TFA. Thoughts, action, thoughts what? TFA, thoughts, feelings, actions. Thank you so much. And one more person, Yvette. That's one thing.
Thank you so much. Good evening, everyone. Well, for me, whatever has made me happy this week, I'm relating with Coach Isaac. My week has been hectic, but I thank God that TikTok connection has opened doors for me. So use social media wisely. I've been following a corporate consultant on TikTok, and this week she gave me an opportunity to moderate one of her events, which I did yesterday. And I'm really glad because I've never moderated an event before. So it was good to try something new, and it turned out well. Yeah.
Amazing. Thanks for sharing. Our friends who've come in after, I'll just recognize you because now we must move on. But we are happy to have Sigan Isaac and to have Farhia, who I think is a coach. Yeah, she's here. We welcome you. Let me now hand over to the coaches, Walter and Yvette, so that they can introduce us to the next thing. Please kindly unless you're speaking, let's mute on our side.
Okay. Let me get here so that I don't have to tilt my neck. So again, good evening, everyone. So thank you. My name is Walter Mayeku. Going to be a judge in this debate. And today, let's all feel relaxed as much as for the debaters, as much as we are going, Yvette and I, we're going to be judges. Remember, we want to have this session as interactive and as thought-provoking as much as possible, as a learning platform, as well as we want to see to the extent at which we've all gained knowledge and the confidence in what we, how we argue our statements out. Quickly, something to mention is the debate will be timed. Every debater, remember that, it will be timed. I think you know the times framework that we operate with, that for the affirmative speech, we only have 7 minutes. Then the negative speech, you only have 6 minutes. And each debater, one has a chance to ask a question to whoever has made a presentation, and you only have up to 2 questions to ask, and please make sure that the questions are short, precise, those that can be understood, so that you get the much awaited response that you'll be expecting, if that is the case. The only criteria we're going to use, we only have 3 criteria that will be, and our score sheet will only be rating from 0 to 10, and then we will be looking at the quality of your argument. That is, if you're giving the affirmative speech or whichever case you're speaking, we'll be looking at the quality. In this case, we'll be looking at the research, the extent of the research you've done, of course, factual relevancy, resolutionality, how you resolve your work, and of course, any other things like clarity of your presentation. We'll be looking at them, then we'll award from 0 to 10. Then, of course, we'll be looking at presentation. Here's where we check style, gestures, tone, and of course, time also falls here. It's okay to present less than 7 minutes, but if you overdo 7, we will definitely penalize you. Then, of course, we have cross-examination. We expect that if someone does a good presentation, we will have, our minds will be triggered to ask questions. So if, we expect you guys to ask questions from each other, and of course, respond with all manner of respect. Again, to mention that in this debate, we expect you that you don't use offensive language towards each other. Please maintain respect towards each other as much as, understand that this particular resolution, to some, it might feel like it's slightly sensitive, to others, they can debate about it. So let's observe forwardness in our speech, how you put across words. These are some of the things. Remember, we are leaders, and we hope that we get the best from you guys. So thank you. I don't know if my fellow judge that has something to say, she can put across, but from my end, we are okay, but I will be doing a quick shuffle after Yvette say something, so that we pick who is going to go first, then that's what. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, Walter, for that. So to all the debaters, we expect maximum cooperation from you. Walter has laid down the house rules clearly. And so to Douglas, Grace, Stacey, and Lydian, we expect that you follow the rules and keep time. Also, one thing I will really echo is stick to the topic at hand. And the topic of tonight is to end the cycle of violence and femicide. Women ought to change. So kindly stick to the topic, keep time, and I look forward to a successful debate. Back to you, Walter.
Thank you very much. I want to believe that all our debaters are on the call, confirm. So I only have 4 numbers. There are only 4 of them. So we have number 7, 11, 13, and 9. So behind these numbers, we have the structure. We have number 1, 2, 3, 4 written behind the numbers that I've mentioned. So I will mention your name. The numbers again, I will say again loudly. We have 7, 9, 11, and 13. So by quickly picking, Douglas, which number do you pick? Douglas?
I pick number 9.
Number 9. Number 9, behind the script is, you will be the 3rd one to do your presentation. Please note that. Lillian?
$11.
Pick between 7 or 11, okay. 11, you are going to be number 2. Presentation. Please trust me that I'm doing a perfect work. Totally not unbiased. Then we have Stacy.
We can't see you.
Oh. I don't know if you will see my Stacy. Which number do you pick between 7 and 13?
I pick 7.
7. Yeah. 7, you will be going as the first one. On my very small written, you cannot see that. Then, of course, finally, we have, that should be Grace, right? Yeah, so Grace, we give you number 7 and you'll be the 4th presenter. Everyone know, probably you have now mastered where you're going to start, where you will be. So we open the session. I think Judge Yvette, are you ready? We start the session.
Yes, I'm ready. We can start.
Okay, thank you. I can't recall who was the first one, so please. First one, please remember to unmute and turn on your camera when you're doing the presentation.
First is Stacy. Stacy is number 1.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, good evening, everyone.
Evening.
The resolution says to end the cycle of femicide and violence, women ought to change. So I'll start by giving definitions of keywords. A cycle is a series of events that are regularly repeated in the same order. Violence, behavior involving physical force intended to hurt, damage, or kill someone or something. Femicide, intentionally killing a woman or a girl because they are female, and it is mostly perpetrated by a family member or an intimate partner who happens to be male. A woman is an adult female. A woman is an adult female human being, and change means making alteration or making something better. So to my affirmative case, I chose my value as individual responsibility. And to my first criterion, I will pose my first criterion as a question. And it will be, what if we emulated what women did in the traditional African society? When I say what if we emulated what women did in the traditional African society, I'm talking about when the society was patriarchal. That is where men had dominance over women. And I'm not looking at it from the perspective of male chauvinism or anything, but I'm looking at it from the perspective that during those particular times, women were recorded to have high morals, virtues, and values, and they were equally maintained in the same way. But when Western civilization came into action and social media, okay, I do agree that they are positive in a way, but the negativity that they have brought in the current world, or whatever we are seeing now, it's not to be encouraged, it's not to be seen. So I would say that we should emulate whatever happened in the traditional African society.
Stacy, you getting me? Yes, Stacy?
Okay, I was saying that we should emulate what our elders, I don't know how to say, our mothers or our ancestors, the values and virtues that they used to have in the past before Western civilization came into place. You find that femicide has been fueled much by whatever is happening on social media, and the fact that women have become individualistic and have adopted free culture, in that they do not maintain the kind of lifestyle that women used to have for Western civilization. And to my second criterion on the affirmative side, I would pose it by a quotation or by a word said by Sigmund. His name is Sigmund Freud, where he says that there's nothing such as accidents. Human beings instigate what happens to them. Human beings instigate like what happens to themselves. So I'd like to build on this theory in that you will find that most victims of femicide and violence necessarily, or in a way, or in a point, they brought this upon themselves. I do not mean to judge anyone, but if you look at whatever is going on, if you look at social media or things that are happening, you'll find that most of them are inclined, they brought this upon themselves. Yeah, most of them brought this upon themselves on the decisions that they make. Once a great man said that in our everyday life, we make decisions, and these decisions could have consequences, which will end up being our death wish. And yeah, I guess I'm going to stop my criterion from there. So onto my negative side, I chose my value as equality to all humans. And to my first criterion, I would say that an issue is not solved by attacking the victim, rather dealing with the perpetrator and holding the perpetrator accountable. The victim in this case is a woman. It's the females who go through femicide and violence. And when I say violence, I mean I'm specifically touching on gender-based violence. So I would say that an issue, we do not solve it by attacking the victim, the woman in question, but we should hold the perpetrator to be accountable. You do not pin on what happens to a woman on a woman, because you do not know the circumstances that led to that happening. So I would firmly and confidently say that the issue is not solved by attacking the victim, rather than dealing with the perpetrator and holding the perpetrator accountable. My second criterion, it says that it is not right, or it is not fair to say that the woman should change. Excuse me. It is not right, or it is not fair to say that the woman should change. Rather, the whole society should holistically address change as needed. When we say that it is the woman who should change, it is the man who should stop misogyny about these cases on femicide, it is not right. If you look into it, femicide is holistically a community affair, and it holistically involves the society at large. So fault finding and blame games won't solve anything. I do not mean to attack anyone by the statement I'm going to say, but let me just say, going to the streets and carrying placards, sharing posters online, and implementing policies against femicide and gender-based violence won't really be of much help, because to be real, to be realistic, we are in Kenya and many things do happen, and we do these things all the time. Teachers go on strike, they carry placards, and nothing ever seems to change. So we won't change anything if we just sit down, carry placards, go to the streets, sharing posters online, standing against misogynists and coming up with hashtags. It won't really change anything. The society has to take up the donkey work, like to initiate change, Otherwise, femicide and gender-based violence is here to stay. My third criterion, I would say that violence should be addressed holistically. And when I say that violence should be addressed holistically, I also like, it's more much in the same that it is the society's affair. It is not about women being the victims. It is not about men being the perpetrators. It has nothing to do with both men and women. It is our collective responsibility to see that all this ends, be it gender-based violence, be it femicide, be it androcide. It is our responsibility collectively to see that that one ends. And to my summary, I would like to say that in as much as we are talking about femicide and gender-based violence, I feel that we should also include what the other gender, the male gender, goes through, because no one is talking about androcide. No one is talking about gender GBV when it comes to the male version. And it should be more of dealing with the perpetrators rather than victims. We should dig deep and say, what would push for a man to mercilessly butcher a woman? Is it something to do with maybe their mental health? Is it something to do with maybe they need to be heard? So it's not because you see, if you read what's going online, men are blaming women. Okay, men are blaming women that they're exposing themselves too much and it is for the money. But if you look into it, not all these Airbnb cases were involved with money. I mean, it happens every day, but why now? Why do femicide cases crop up right now? So maybe it will be more on dealing with the perpetrator, or digging deep into the perpetrator more than the victim. And finally, I would like to say that it is the collective responsibility of the society to ensure that all these vices that we have, and be it you're a father, you're a mother, you're a daughter, you're a son, you are in any position in the society, your input helps to end such vices. And that was my time. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Stacy, for the presentation. Yes, very interesting. We keep on learning. So again, if you have any questions, please write them down. The questions will come immediately after all the presenters have gone. So we are going to the next debater, please.
Walter, allow at least one question to her right now. If any of the, not competitors, the debaters has a question on any point she has said, let them at least ask one now. The rest may come later.
Okay, that's okay. Anyone who feel like they should address, like point out something immediately before watered down by, yeah, that's not a problem. Going for once, twice, thrice. Okay, if there is none, we go to the next presenter. Dr. Oh, Lillian, you're the one going for the second presenter. Okay, cool. Thank you. You have time. You have less than 7 minutes to go, so you can start now.
Just a clarification before you start timing me. After immediately I finish the affirming, should I get right into the negative?
I think so.
Okay.
So that makes it more than 7 minutes. Yeah, but do your
Okay.
time. Let's do your time.
Okay. So Walter will tell me when to start.
Please start.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, Lilian Mureithi, affirming the revolution to end the cycle of violence and femicide. Women ought to change. And get me right, I'm not implying that women are to be blamed for the violence they face. Instead, I come to emphasize empowerment and agency. According to UN Women, 89,000 women in the year 2022 were intentionally killed just because they are women. That sums up to 244 women every single day. And after every 60 minutes in 2022, 10 women were killed. So we've tried everything. We've tried our judicial systems. We've tried demonstrations. They have not worked. And my question remains, how can we still be doing the same things and expect different results? I think that it's time we now address the elephant in the room, which is the changing of women. Now that I may have got your attention, let us explain the resolution. End means to completely stop continuity. Cycle means series of actions in the same order. Violence means brutality. A woman is a female being. Ought to means should. Change is to transform. Femicide is intentionally killing women just because they're women. My value, women's agency and empowerment. What this does is it gives women the freedom and power to control their own lives, pursue their aspirations, and contribute to their communities and societies. The criterion, self-determination and economic independence. This contributes to creating a safer and equal society for everyone. On to my first contention, education and awareness. So what this does, it will provide women with access to formal education, as well as programs that teach them about their legal rights and how to seek help in cases of violence. Studies have already shown that women are more likely to recognize report violence, which can help break the silence surrounding the issue if only they're educated and awareness is created. Now you may ask, how is this going to happen? Is this possible? And I have good news. It has already started in Pakistan, Afghanistan, and Tajikistan. And according to Central Asia Institute, education plays a vital role in preventing violence against women. So 89,000 people died in the year 2022. We have two options. We can either sit down and blame other people for their deaths, or we can stand up and advocate for their education and awareness and stop these things. Think about it, which is better, teaching a child how to fish or going to fish on behalf of the child, sorry. Teaching the child to fish is basically educating them about what they're supposed to tackle. But if we think that maybe demonstrations or the judicial systems are the ones that are going to help solve what they're currently facing, it's basically just fishing on behalf of the women. And the issue with that is, if the judicial systems are absent, if they're not sufficient enough, and if there are no more demonstrations, then what is going to be there to stop the cycle? So women should be fully involved in it. It reminds me of something Malala says, you give me a gun, I will kill the terrorist, but if you give me education, I will kill terrorism. Education and creating awareness to the women will definitely stop the cycle of feminism and, femicide and violence. On to my next contention, career development and financial education. Career development enhances women's economic independence, self-esteem, and social standing. It acts as a protective shield against violence by reducing dependency on others. Financial literacy, basically workshops on this are meant to empower women to take control of their finances and reduce vulnerability and make informed choices. Now that we have understood what career development and financial education will do, let us move to research. So I did research and I found out that it is harder for abused women to live, violent relationships, because according to blogspot.worldbank.org, the risk of returning to violent cycle increases when financial independence is not achieved. So this basically means that as long as a woman is not financially independent, they find it extremely hard to live abusive and violent relationships. So if women can be financial literate, if women can get their own source of income, then they do not have to think twice about living any violent relationship, because what goes through most of their minds, especially the married ones, is, first of all, I do not have funds to sustain me. Second, I have children. What about their fees? So they opt to stay in those abusive relationships. They do not get out of them because they know once they get out of them, then their supply chain is basically cut. According to www.news24.com, it says, as wealth increases, the prevalence of physical and sexual violence tend to decrease. Let me explain this. When women, according to the research I did, when women get wealthier, or like they can sustain themselves financially and they're not financially dependent, then the prevalence of physical and sexual violence tend to decrease. So what women should change is their financial dependency on different people, because that is one of the main causes of femicide and violence towards the woman. I shall move on to the negative, if that's fine. I can move on to the negative.
Yes, please.
Okay. Having explained the resolution already, I'll get straight into it. See, did you know that as early as the beginning of the 21st century, throughout the world, women were educated on violence? And did you also know that between 2000 and 2007, this is according to Bing.com, the economically independent women rose from 39% to 45%. So we are seeing a change in women, 21st century. But the irony is that there is a change in women, but there is also increase in the rates of violence and femicide. So it basically communicates to us that women changing does not guarantee the stopping of this cycle that we are seeing, because women are changing, but we are not, it is not translating to what we expect it to translate to. My value is justice, and justice seeks fairness and accountability. This is important because it ensures that perpetrators of violence are held responsible while protecting victims. Value criterion, accountability, and systematic change. Accountability is to take responsibility for one's action, while systematic change refers to the change, refers to when change reaches all or most part of the system. To my first contention, individual responsibility and societal change. So what is individual responsibility? This basically means being held accountable for the repercussions of your actions, while societal change means that what is normally considered as by culture as norm should be shut away if they have negative repercussions. So ensuring those who are responsible for causing violence and femicides are held accountable is what should be done, instead of basically blaming women for violence. What blaming women for violence does is it perpetuates victim blaming and distracts us from the real problem, which is systematic issues. So for anyone in doubt, I invite you to reason with me. To the parents around, who is to blame? You who left the sugar bowl on top of the table, or your child who licked the sugar? Just think about it. Are you that okay? You put the sugar bowl on the table, but the child licked it. So basic, and if you're in doubt, then please explain to me how you were the one who was beaten when you were found licking sugar. To my example number 2, who should we blame for sexual assault? Is it the woman who is indecently dressed, or the sexual assaulter who sexually assaulted the woman? I'm not trying to advocate for indecency in the way that we dress, but if we can all reason out together and just be honest, as culture put it, it is the innocent woman who is finally going to be blamed. So we have 2 options. We can either sit and emphasize that women should change, or stand up and advocate for the change of the society. Let us not conclude that women changing is the remedy, because deep down, we know that it is the alternative of addressing the elephant in the room, which is a morally ill society. Why just not hit the nail on the head? the society norms that gives us confidence to treat women like mere commodities. That is what should change, not the woman. Holding one account. Okay. So with my first, another example, who would you rather blame? An homeowner who fully stocked their home with furniture, or a thief who came and stole the furniture from the homeowner? As much as we can say, maybe the homeowner should have installed CCTV cameras, or they should have put electric fences, we cannot run away from the fact that she may do that, but it does not guarantee that the neighbor will be safe. See, if the thief changes, the whole neighborhood will be safe. But if the victim changes, it will only make, like, it will not guarantee that others will be safe. That is basically my point. On to the second contention, legal protection and enforcement. I was researching on the functions of the judiciary, and according to kenyalaw.org, the judiciary roles are 1, resolving disputes, 2, ensuring justice, and 3, upholding the rule of law. But when I was researching this, my question was not really the functions. My question was whether it's efficient or not. That was my main question. Let us move to another research. There's a woman called Willie Kimani, a human rights lawyer, was brutally murdered in Nairobi, June 2016. After 6 whole years of trial proceedings, 3 policemen and a civilian were found guilty. Samantha Pendo, a baby, died after being hit on the head during clashes between police and demonstrators in 2017. Alexander Monsoon, British citizen, died in hospital after a night in police custody in 2012. For Willie, it took 6 years for justice to be administered. For Alexander Monsoon, it took 9 years. For Monica Kimani, for those who are following up the case, took 2018 to 2024, and it's not yet over. You do the math. And for baby Pendo, justice has not even started. If justice was given to the victims within the shortest time possible, not 5 to 10 years, it will by far reduce the rates of violence. Let us not forget William Eward's famous phrase, justice delayed is definitely justice denied. Do you think, okay, with that, I will read something from a book called Pillar Daughters, authored by Dr. Judith Ogweno. It says, parents' time have come when we should call a spade, because if we do not, someone else will call it camouflaged names. And I want to link it with our judicial systems. Time has come when they should address these issues as they are, because if they are not, then other things will come towards it. And finally, just remember that in silence, the softest sound is normally extremely, extremely loud. So for my summary, while we can say that women should change or other people should change, when I was doing this research, I didn't know which part I would land to, but I knew both of the sides are very good, because both of them actually should change. If we are to stop this cycle, we can't just say women should change, and we can't just say the judicial system should change, and we just can't say this group. Like, we can't point fingers at a certain group. All of us have to work together. Remember, a lot of brains put together is obviously better than one. So all systems must come together to stop this cycle and stop it completely. That was my time. Thank you very much. I'd like to thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you, Lillian. Anyone with a time for cross-examination. You have a question, we are inviting anyone with a question, only one question to go or two most.
Okay, I have a question.
Yes, please.
Yes.
Okay, so
Yes.
on the affirmative side, so you gave some statistics that is ranging.
Chris, could you turn on your video? Is it possible to turn on your video?
Okay, let me confirm. Let me check out. Okay, that's better. Okay, so some questions directed to the affirmative side. So, do you believe that women bear any responsibility in addressing or preventing violence and femicide?
Do I? Pardon? Sorry.
Directing this to your negative side, sorry. To your negative side. So, do you believe that women bear any responsibility in addressing or preventing violence and femicide?
If I only presented my negative side, this is how I should have answered you, right? Women have changed a lot, right? I've given you statistics that 21st century throughout the world, women were educated on violence. And between 2000 to 2007, according to Bing.com, the economically independent women rose from 39% to 45%. So if I were only presenting on the negative side, this is what I'd tell you. Women from 21st century they are evolving. If it is education, they have it. If it is awareness has been raised. If it is economic independence, they are getting it. But
okay,
why
allow me to cut me in. Allow me to cut me in. Remember, I am directing to your
just a
negative
minute.
side. Okay.
Yeah, sorry. So all of that is changing, right? But still, the rates of violence and the rates of femicides are increasing by the day. So that's how. So basically, them changing does not guarantee and does not tell us that it will stop that rate. Yes,
Okay,
what you wanted to say?
So you had said that the financial ability of women changed, meaning it rise to around 45%, but yet the cases of femicide cases still increased. So do you have any statistics to support that argument?
I do have statistics. I said according to Bing.com from 2000 to 2007, and it is still increasing, right? According to Bing.com, the economically, and I quote, the economically independent women rose from 39% to 45%. And what I was saying is the rates are still increasing. So that means that
do you have any statistics to show that the rates are changing? Because according to some statistics that I have, according to the World Bank, each additional year of schooling for women is associated with an increase of earnings of about 10% to 20%. This means that women who pursue higher levels of education are more likely to secure better paying jobs and better economic ability. So that means that the rate of femicide, or let's say femicide in general, is decreasing because these women have been economically empowered. So under this point, I will argue that some women fear that leaving their abusive spouses will lead them to be economically unstable, as you mentioned in your argument. But then when you say that the rate of the rate of femicide is increasing, say, despite the economic ability of women increasing. So I do not see any connection, though those are two controversial arguments.
You have said something that the rates of femicides are decreasing, and I would politely argue that, because according to my research, let me find the specific sites. According to my research, UN Women, they're saying that the rates are increasing. I've mentioned that in 2022, they were at 89,000, with still the rates of economically empowered women increasing. That is just basically what I'm trying to pass across, that the rates of economically empowered women, they're increasing. but the rates of femicides, they are currently on the rise. Why is that? That is actually my point. Because actually, according to UN Women, if you probably want the actual site, according to UN Women, it is increasing. And the latest that I got, the actual value that I got was 89,000 in 2022.
Okay, so I'll leave it there. So I have another question that is directed to you. So
okay,
so how do you account for the correlation between gender inequality and violence against women in societies where a woman lack agency and empowerment?
How do
you account for the correlation between gender inequality and violence against women in societies where women lack agency and empowerment?
First of all, I'd like us to look at statistics, right? Not really statistics, sorry, but what is happening currently around the world. Women are getting more educated. I've told you that countries like Pakistan, Afghanistan, Tajikistan, they are trying to empower their women in terms of legal literacy programs. And maybe you may argue, what about those who cannot be able to access those programs or something? Maybe that's your question. What about those people? Now that is where you see, in every place, there's always a way to learn. It's not necessarily maybe through Red Cross or through this organization that comes to your community or through going to the internet. Sometimes empowering women can be as like a communal thing, that the community comes together and they talk to them about this. Remember about, in a community, there's obviously the people who have been in marriage for a long time. And those are the people who now talk to the ones that have just come into marriage, if that makes sense. So maybe you may argue, how about those people who are not reached by these programs? I guess that's your question. How about what if Red Cross does not reach there? What if UN Women does not reach there to educate and empower them on this? That is when now the community comes and educates these people about that, basically. I hope I've answered your question.
So I was actually directing the question to the negative side. Yes. Yes.
Allow us to move on to the next person. We'll pick up that when you're through. I can see time is running. It's getting hot in here. I can feel myself sweating. Judge Walter, we can have the next person. Then at the end, we can hear more of this.
It's getting hot in here. Okay. I think people should start rolling up their sleeves or something. So the next presenter, I think, is Douglas.
Yes.
You have it's your time to shine, brother. Please. You can start now.
Douglas, we can't hear you.
Hello, Douglas.
Douglas is speaking, but his audio, we can't hear the audio. Audio, there's something wrong with your audio, Douglas. We can't hear you.
I'm not sure if he's even hearing us in the first place.
He's not hearing us. So probably as we wait to get him on, we can have Grace go on and then maybe give him a call to tell him we couldn't hear him. He fixes his audio.
Wow.
Because he's presenting.
Should I wait for you to get through to Douglas?
He's not even hearing us. That's the irony.
Okay, I'm calling.
Oh, call him. Thank you, Clement. Okay.
Okay. He's gone again. So, hello, Douglas. Can you hear us?
He can't hear us. So let Grace present. In the interest of time, meanwhile, we'll try and get him.
Doctor, you can mute him from
my end.
Because you're the host, yeah.
It's not muting.
Okay.
There's just something not right on my side. But no worries. Let Grace go on. We'll get him. We'll call.
Okay, so I'll proceed to present my points. So starting with the affirmative side. So in 2022, around 48,800 women and girls worldwide were killed by their intimate partners or other family members. This means that around 55% of the estimated total of 88,900 female homicide victims recorded in 2022 were killed by someone in their own family. It also brings to attention that on average, more than 133 women or girls were killed every day by someone in their own family. So femicide, what is femicide? Femicide, also referred to as gender-related killings of women and girls, can broadly be defined as the intentional killing committed on the grounds of gender-related factors. This could include ideologies of men's entitlement and privilege over women, social norms regarding masculinity, and the need to assert male control or power, enforce gender roles, or prevent, discourage, or punish what is considered to be unacceptable female behavior. So last year, femicide count Kenya recorded 152 killings, the highest in the past 5 years. So representatives from the non-profit, which records reported cases only, says that the actual numbers is likely to be much higher. So this is quite alarming, because if the reported cases were only 152, we can imagine that the cases becoming higher than that. So in pursuit of a world free from violence and femicide, let us not underestimate the transformative power within. As we engage in this debate, let us consider the profound impact for women, the profound impact that women, empowered and resolute, can have in challenging societal norms, reshaping perspectives and leading the way towards a future where equality, respect, and nonviolence prevail. So in alignment with my unwavering support for the empowerment of women, I affirm the resolution to end the cycle of violence and femicide, women ought to change. So my value premise is human dignity, which emphasizes the inherent worth and value of every individual, regardless of their gender, forms the moral foundation for ending violence and femicide still remains the same. My criterion is gender empowerment. So this could be through taking measures that are effective in reducing violence and femicide. So I'll head to present my contentions. So my first contention is empowerment through education. Education equips women with knowledge about their rights, including legal protection against violence. Research indicates that as the level of education increases among women, the prevalence of the violence against them tends to decrease. For example, a study published by the Lancet Global Health Journal found that women with no education were at a significantly higher risk of intimate partner violence compared to those with secondary or even higher education. This is because education increases women's access to information and resources, such as support services, helplines, legal aid organizations, you can name them. The 2018 Global Study on Homicide reports say that most acts of murders are a culmination of abuse, threats in the relationship. This often begins with behaviors aimed at dehumanizing and controlling women. This could include verbal abuse, intimidation, isolation, and financial control. Over time, these behaviors can intensify and lead to physical violence, culminating in the ultimate act of femicide. Knowing where to turn for help in situations of violence is essential for seeking assistance and protection. Notably, the fear of financial hardship and the lack of alternative support systems compel other women to tolerate violence rather than risk economic instability. According to the National Coalition Against Domestic Violence, 99% of domestic violence cases also involve financial abuse. On the flip side, education can lead to greater education and independence for women, reducing their reliance on abusive partners or family members for financial support. According to the World Bank, each additional year of schooling for women is associated with an increase of earnings of about 10% to 20%. This means that women who pursue higher education are more likely to secure better paying jobs, leading to greater economic independence. Lastly, empowered women through education not only shape their own futures, but also those of their children, prioritizing education for both sons and daughters. They instill values of equality, respect, and nonviolence, breaking the intergenerational cycle of violence and femicide. So I'll head on to my second contention, which is challenging societal norms and gender roles. By challenging discriminatory practices and advocating for equal rights and opportunities, women can help shift societal attitudes towards greater gender equality. According to the World Health Organization, public awareness campaigns that challenge harmful gender norms and promote gender equality can lead to change in attitudes and behaviors that contribute to violence against women. Another study published in the Journal of Interpersonal Violence found that community-based programs challenging traditional gender norms and promoting gender equality can lead to a decrease in intimate partner violence. To begin, in Pakistan, women were at the forefront for advocating for the Protection of Women Act in 2006 through the Orat Foundation, along with other women's rights organizations. This legislation amended Pakistan's penal code to strengthen legal protections for women against domestic violence, including provision for restraining orders and penalties for perpetrators. Additionally, women's organizations, including the Rwanda Women's Network, played pivotal roles in advocating for gender equality laws and policies in Rwanda. Their advocacy efforts contributed to the adoption of the law on the prevention and punishment of gender-based violence in 2008, which provides legal protection for survivors of gender-based violence and even promotes gender equality. Rwanda has also implemented gender quotas in political representation, with women holding nearly 64% of the seats in the country's parliament as of 2021, thanks to advocacy of campaigns that were majorly spearheaded by women. Lastly, women were instrumental in raising awareness about the sexual harassment through the Harass Up campaign in Egypt. Their advocacy efforts led to legal reforms such as the passing of the law of number 58 of 2014, which criminalizes sexual harassment and imposes penalties on perpetrators. Other examples of such campaigns around the globe include 7 days of activism against gender-based violence, which is aimed at raising awareness and mobilizing action to end violence against women and girls worldwide. Orange the World campaign, led by the United Nations Women, which calls for the elimination of violence against women and girls by lighting up landmarks and public spaces in orange, the color symbolizing a brighter future without violence, among other campaigns, have really paid off. To bring matters to a conclusion, it's crystal clear that women are instrumental in advocating for policy changes, strengthening support services, and even challenging all the societal norms and gender roles that have been put in place that are disadvantaging the female gender. So, without further ado, I will go ahead and proceed to my negative case. So, I will commence. Quote, the story of women's struggle for equality belongs to no single feminist, not to any one organization, but to the collective efforts of all who care about human rights, articulated Gloria Steinem, an American journalist and socio-political activist who emerged as the nationally recognized leader of second-wave feminism in the United States in the late 1900s. It is because I agree with Gloria's perspective that I firmly negate the resolution and the cycle of violence and femicide women ought to change. The resolution's focus on women changing overlooks broader societal structures perpetuating violence. It's not solely women, but the society as a whole that needs to change. By solely targeting women, we ignore the influence of patriarchal norms, systemic inequalities, and inadequate institutions. Addressing violence requires systemic reforms, including education, legal changes, and cultural shift challenge patriarchal dynamics, and promote gender equality. Femicide. According to the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, femicide is the intentional killing of women or girls because they are female. My value promise is gender equality, which is ensuring equal rights, opportunities, and treatment for all genders. This my criterion is systemic reform, which is evaluating the effectiveness of systemic changes in addressing the root causes of violence and femicide. So I'll go ahead to my first contention, which is patriarchal system. Gender-based violence and femicide are not isolated incidences, but are deeply rooted in the patriarchal systems that perpetuate inequality and oppression. According to the United States Office on Drugs and Crime, approximately 87,000 women are intentionally killed in 2017 globally. 58% of them by intimate partners or family members. So looking at those statistics, we can clearly see that femicide is an act that has been majorly perpetrated due to the imbalance in the gender, in the community, and also how the patriarchal systems have been enforced in our society. Breaking down the figures in Kenya, according to the Femicide Count Kenya data, there have been over 504 femicide cases recorded in the country between 2019 and 2024. So these figures underscore the pervasive nature of femicide and its connection to patriarchal power dynamics. The recent murder of Starlet Wahu and the JKUAT student Rita Waini has painted a grim picture of the extent in which femicide in Kenya can go. Rita Waini, a 20-year-old student, was killed and dismembered in a short-let apartment in the capital. That was such a horrible scene that left all mouths agape in the country. Days before, a popular Instagram figure, Starlet Wahu, 26 years old, was found dead in an Airbnb room, bleeding out from a fatal stab wound inflicted by a man she met online. On January 27, thousands of women and men marched in Nairobi and other major cities in Kenya, calling for an end to femicide and violence against women. Protesters carried placards with messages such as, "We are human beings," "Say their names," and "Stop killing us." And outrage country. Activists point out how some Kenyans, notably men, have chosen to blame the women, questioning everything from why they are meeting up and entering shirtless with men. Charlene Momanyi, the director of the Nairobi-based Young Women's Leadership Institute, told Al Jazeera that it is commonplace for a Kenyan woman to be disciplined by her husband, with some people even seeing this as a sign of affection where a man is taking the time to. So patriarchal ideas and practices this, coupled with the structural inequalities between men and women in Kenyan society, leave a breeding ground for violence. It's evident that placing the burden solely on women fails to address the root causes of violence and femicide perpetrated by patriarchal systems. True progress towards ending the cycle of violence and femicide requires systemic reforms that challenge ingrained gender norms, promote gender equality, and hold perpetrators and enablers of violence accountable. With that, I rest my case and I'm open for any questions.
Internet. But I believe you had finished your presentation. Can you, everyone, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, good. Do we have anyone with a question to ask the question to Grace? Hope her internet is stable again.
I do have a question.
Okay, let's wait and see if she's please, only one question. Let's see if she's her internet is back and working. Grace?
Okay, yes.
Okay, cool. Lillian has a question for you.
Okay, I'm ready to answer.
So this is to challenge your affirmative. Yeah, affirmative. It's just a short illustration, right? I have two eggs. One I've written A, right? Okay, I hope you can say it. A, and the other one is B. B. Okay, we good? Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
So one is hard boiled. One is hard boiled. The other one is raw. So I just want you to guess which one is the raw one, and which one is the hard boiled one. A or B?
Okay. Looking at what you've given, it is nearly impossible to differentiate which one is boiled and which one is not, because remember the outer cover is the same.
We are guessing right here. Just a short answer, just guessing basically.
Okay, so I still remain to say that it is nearly impossible to differentiate which one is boiled or not.
Okay, maybe I should ask this. Choose A or B.
Okay, so I'll go with the flow. I choose B.
Okay, yeah, thank you. Just go with the flow. I'm just trying to prove something right here. So we'll check whether that's B. It shows right. Sorry. So that was not hard boiled. But guess what? This one is also not hard boiled. So my point is just a question from that. Who's to blame? Like myself, who I intentionally made you wrong the answer, or you who answered the question or based on what you did not know?
Okay, so yeah, before you proceed, are you directing the question to the affirmative side or to the negative side?
To the affirmative, sorry.
Okay, so to the affirmative side. So looking at that, I'll say that the person who remember, I didn't have prior knowledge to that, and remember, both of them had the same outer covering. So me choosing which egg was boiled or not was solely on guesswork. So there was nothing to back that up.
Yes. So who's to blame? Is it like you who didn't know obviously, or me who didn't give you another option?
Okay, so I think based on what you've given, I'd blame the person who gave me the options because they knew what was behind the scene.
Okay, so you blame me for like not giving you, right? That's why you didn't get.
Okay, so I wouldn't blame you. I'm not necessarily like blaming you. I'm just saying that depending on your intentions behind it. So I think if you are depending on the intentions behind it, then I think that's the only time that we can
Understand.
it's wrong or
You've
not.
basically like just proven that you, the victim, you're not like you don't have an issue, but the one who caused the problem, which is I think myself, I'm the one who has the issue, right?
Okay, so allow me to direct my arguments back to the affirmative side. So according to the case that you're trying to give is that the person the perpetrators are the ones to be blamed and the women have nothing to do with it, right?
Like I'm asking who, like who's you said that I'm to blame, right? For like not, I'm the one to blame, right?
So I wouldn't say that you're the one to be blamed, remember? So I'm just saying depends on the intentions behind it.
Well, okay, wow. Okay, if we'd be honest, you've just said that I was to blame. So like that is basically to say that I'm the one who caused, I'm the one who should have changed and given you options on the right options. So I am the one who should have changed and not you. That's basically what you have said. And thank you so much for answering my questions.
Okay, so I haven't yet gotten the connection between the eggs that you've given and my affirmative case. So what argument are you trying to bring up? I can't hear you.
Can't hear you.
Sorry, I'm basically trying to say that it is the one who caused the problem who should change and not the person who caused it. So like it's the one who caused the problem, not the victim who should change. I just wanted to like get your opinion on that and see whether I can lead you to that. Yeah.
Okay, so I'll also cut in. Remember, we are talking on the case of femicide in Kenya and who is to be blamed. So when you say that the person who perpetrates or the person who came up with the plan is the one to be blamed, so I don't think that you are on the right track. So remember, when you talk about femicide, the victim whom you've said it's me, I'm not the one to be blamed, right? And remember, my arguments are trying to bring up the case that women have a role to play in the ending the cycle of femicide and violence against them. As I've given my statistics, Pakistan and Egypt are very good examples to illustrate that women also have a role to play in the changing of policies. Remember, legal reforms and enforcement needs to be put in place. And for those legal reforms to be put in place, they need to be brought up. And who brings them up? The victims through movements and campaigns.
But just
Lillian,
that.
let's hold it there. Let's hold it there. Let's
okay, that's fine.
Let's bring in Douglas. Maybe at the end you can tie up the discussion because I'm sure people here are itching to jump into the discussion. Yes, Douglas.
Good evening and apologies. I had network problems.
Understood.
I would like to provide an honest perspective on the resolution you presented. To end the cycle of violence and femicide, women ought to change. While addressing the issue of violence and femicide is crucial, it is important to approach the topic with care and avoid assigning them solely as a solution. Defined as intentional killing of females based on their gender, is rooted in systematic gender inequality and the adherence to harmful social norms that perpetuate violence against women. It is essential to recognize that the responsibility for addressing violence and femicide lies with society as whole, including both men and women. It is inappropriate to expect women who are the victims of violence to be solely responsible for changing the situation. Instead, it requires collective efforts to challenge societal attitudes, norms, and structures that contribute to these issues. Here are a few important points to consider. Number one, empowering women. Society should focus on empowering women by providing them with equal opportunities, education, and economic independence. This can help to alter power dynamics and reduce vulnerability. Secondly, education and awareness. Promoting education and awareness campaigns can challenge harmful gender stereotypes and promote gender equality. Educating both men and women about healthy relationships, consent, and respectful behavior can contribute to ending violence and femicide. Thirdly, legal reforms and protection. Implementing and enforcing legislation that provides legal protection for women and harsh penalties for perpetrators of violence and femicide is essential. Improved access to justice and support services for victims is also important to ensure their safety and well-being. Fourthly, addressing root causes. Social attitudes such as toxic masculinity and patriarchal norms need to be actively confronted and transformed. Engaging men and boys in conversations about gender equality and relationships can play a significant role in breaking the cycle of violence. Creating safe spaces. Communities, governments, and institutions should work together to create safe environments where women can seek support without fear of retribution. This involves establishing efficient reporting mechanisms and providing access to shelters, counseling, and other essential services. To end the cycle of violence and femicide, a comprehensive and inclusive approach that involves everyone is necessary. It is vital to address the underlying causes, challenge harmful norms, and ensure the safety and empowerment of women. I'll go to my negative speech. As negation, my role is to argue against the resolution. In this case, the resolution is to end the cycle of violence and femicide women ought to change. Within the framework of Lincoln-Douglas debating format, I'll present my case by offering counter-arguments and addressing the flaws within the resolution. Number one, resolution misplaces responsibility. The resolution places the burden of ending the cycle of violence and femicide solely on women. This argument unfairly shifts the blame and responsibility from society as a whole, including both men and women. Violence and femicide is a complex issue deeply rooted in social norms, cultural attitudes, and systematic favors. To place entirely responsibility on women ignores the need for comprehensive societal change and perpetuates a harmful and unfair narrative. Second, victim blaming and gender stereotypes. The resolution implies that women are at fault for the cycle of violence and femicide, suggesting that they should change their behavior to end it. This approach not only perpetuates victim blaming, but also reinforces harmful gender stereotypes. It is essential to tackle the issue by focusing on the perpetrators of violence, addressing toxic masculinity, and promoting gender equality. Women should not be expected to change themselves to avoid violence, but should be supported and protected in a more equitable and just society. Thirdly, ignoring root causes. The resolution fails to acknowledge the root cause of violence and femicide. Addressing the cycle of violence requires a holistic approach that considers social, economic, and cultural factors influencing gender-based violence. By solely emphasizing that women ought to change, it overlooks socioeconomic inequalities, lack of access to education, systematic discrimination, and harmful social norms that contribute to violence against women. Comprehensive efforts are needed to tackle these issues, including education, legal reforms, and raising awareness. Fourth, imbalanced approach. Requiring women to change their behavior without simultaneously addressing reinforces existing power dynamics and further entrenches gender inequalities. To end the cycle of violence, it is crucial to promote gender equality and masculinity. Both men and women should be involved in placing the entire burden on one gender. In summary, the resolution to end cycle of violence and femicide women ought to change misplaces responsibility onto women, perpetuates victim blaming, ignores root causes, and fails to address the need for comprehensive societal change. It is crucial to recognize that ending the cycle of violence requires collective efforts and equality.
Oh, Walter, seems
I think Douglas has dropped off. Huh?
yeah. Okay, I hope he'll come back soon. Though our time is fast spent. And should he come back, maybe he'll have a minute or two. Any comments from the crowd? From the listeners? Anybody with a point to say? I think Walter and your co-judge, you can start working on what you need to work on so that we close up soon. Any comments from the participants?
Madam Judith?
Yes.
Yeah, I invited a friend to come and just participate in our debate today. So maybe you could greet us.
Yes.
I don't know that he's still on, I don't know that he's still with us, so maybe you can say a word or two.
He can greet us and also give his opinion, yes.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
Oh, thank you so much. Hello, everyone. Good evening.
Hey, evening to you.
My name is Ruot Richard Ruot. I am currently at the Dam, Garissa County. I was invited to to listen to this debate by Grace George Katum, and I really appreciate. I want to confirm that I've really enjoyed the debate. And I love the way all the speakers brought out their points. And I am really at a dilemma which side to take, because everyone seems to convince me on either side, either the affirmative or the negative side. So thank you so much for the invite, Grace. I really appreciate it. And I wish to have more opportunities like this.
Wow, that is beautiful. Thank you so much, Diop. You're welcome for more of such. Any other person, coaches, other listeners? Any comments? Or you want to add your voice to the debate? It's been hot. It's really provoked a lot of things. Yes, coaches? Uh-huh. Speaking. Just a quick resolution and just like the
I see my dad had also joined. I'd sent him the link and I thought the connectivity wasn't okay. So maybe he can say a word or two.
Wow. Okay. Baba Grace, say something.
Yeah, thank you so much. I was struggling to get into line.
Wow.
Yeah, but I finally make it. And I briefly attend the debate when they were starting it. It was a good thing.
Thank you.
I really appreciate your institution for really having that work all along from the time. I remember some time back I attended the debate, and it was really very interesting.
Thank you. Much appreciated.
Yeah.
Wow.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
And welcome for more. We said last time we have a parents debate, so just be on the lookout.
Hey.
Douglas, you're back.
Wow. It will be good. It will be good. Yeah.
You'll take the challenge. Thank you. And the level of impressive. Yes, Douglas, you want to say something so that we finish? He's off. Douglas is there. Douglas, you are really throwing in nice points, but we got the gist of what you're saying, and I'm sure that can be used to educate us. In case you want to say something, just alert us. Anybody else? Judges, when you're ready, you let us know. Any comment from the speakers? Isaac? Daphne? Yes, Daphne.
Yes, Madam Judith. Personally, I feel like the discussion today has brought about a lot of education to us, and we are seeing we are seeing many points that are being brought forth about the topic on femicide, and it has also brought to my attention that we are seeing here in this platform we are able to see like the basic things that are bringing about femicide, and we are seeing that basically at the end it is not only the women who should change, but basically the whole entire country, because what we are you see, we can't put it on one sector to change and expect also the other sector to like evoke that change and be able to gradually go with that change. As we say, if a time for change comes, whether you like it or not, it will sweep you away. So for us to go better, for us to stop femicide and to go and to like proceed well in the future days, we all need to change at this point. There are things that we need to change and there are things that need to stay, but mainly when what needs to change, if it's time for it to change, we all need to sit down and look at it well enough and to know that this needs to change. But today the session has been really great, and I was able to learn a lot. I actually even have a pen and a book. So I've been able to learn a lot, and thank you so much to the speakers, very eloquent speakers that I can say, and you have brought about the points very clearly. Thank you so much for today. Yeah. That's all.
Excellent comments. Excellent comments. The judges are ready. Do we have them go on first and then we make a final what do we call it? We rest the case for the night, but even as they give their judgment, it's more just to build us. But personally, I believe the debaters today have done, have done a lot. I don't know who can go to the charts and just read for us what's on the chart before the judges speak. Who can access the charts and read for us what's there?
I can, Judy.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening to you.
Yeah. So we have one of the people that have sent chats. Debaters, kindly let's conclude the rebuttal. Then that has been an awesome session. A comment from one of us. Then a continuation of the same person, quite a rich resolution, and they just like the visitors. I agree that both sides are really so convincing. Then Douglas is back. Maybe he can finish the presentation. I think that was just a comment. Then the level of research is impressive. It's latest and relevant. We indeed have great debaters. Well done, mentors. Then very brilliant ideas here. Issues on empowerment, societal and individual change. Then GBV has no justification regardless of what provokes it. That was me. Then can women have a code language to signal when in danger? Just thinking loudly. Then I love this. These young ones know their content. The research is top notch. That's all for tonight, I think, on the comment side.
Thank you, Farhia. You should have the debaters in your school too. Let me give the judges a chance. Wow. Wow. It's workable. Have it work elsewhere. Okay, the judges, where are you?
Here we are, Ma'am. Dr. Bueno.
Yes.
So good evening, everyone. It was a very heated debate and we are finally concluding. So I'll be presenting the results that we have tallied together with my fellow judge, that is Judge Walter. And I'll begin with our first speaker. Our first speaker was Stacy Cueto. And to begin with the definition of the topic, we awarded her a 9. On clarity, sticking to the point, we awarded her a 5. On the style that she used, we awarded her a 3. On the tone stroke audibility, we awarded her a 7. On her facial expressions, we awarded her a, and on the insights that came up using examples, and let's say the way other debaters were saying the World Bank, UN, Blogspot, yeah. But on Stacy, on use of examples, we awarded her 0 because she didn't use any examples. Then we move on to our second debater was Lillian. So the totals of Stacy are 29. And our second debater, Lillian, on definition, we awarded her a 9. On clarity, we awarded her an 8. On style, we awarded her a 10. On tone, we awarded her 9. On use of examples, real life examples, we awarded her. And on facials, we awarded her a 7.
Wait a minute. What did you give her for facials?
7.
What of examples?
On examples? Yvette, on example, what did you award her? We are losing you. Your network was nini?
On examples, we awarded her a 5.
Go on.
So her totals are 48. And then on the third speaker, that was Grace. So on definition, we awarded her a 7. On clarity, we awarded her an 8. On style of presentation, we also awarded her 8. On tone, we awarded her a 5. On the use of facial expressions, we awarded her a 5. And then on use of examples, we awarded her a 6, and her totals are 39. Moving on to our fourth speaker and the one who concluded, that is Douglas. On definition, we awarded him a 7. On clarity, we awarded him 8. On style of presentation, we awarded him 6. On tone, we awarded him 8. On expressions, we awarded him 5. And on use of examples, we awarded him 2. And that brings his totals to 36. So those are the marks.
Kitoka hapo msee.
Okay.
Nataka kupeleka report.
Okay. So we are saying that Lillian took the day, followed by Grace, followed by Douglas, followed by Stacy. But as far as we, the listeners, are concerned, that was a marvelous, marvelous job from all the speakers. I just wished one coach would say something as we finish, because now I want us to log off. Coach Antonina?
May I say?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Now, I want to take this opportunity to congratulate the debaters. I think a lot of effort has gone into the research. They have really outdone themselves, putting on their speeches very clearly and tackling both sides, the affirmative and the negative. I think that is a plus to them. Each one of them had something quite unique to share in their own way, from Stacy to Lillian to Grace and then to Douglas. They each had something very special to offer. And I think we really must congratulate them and thank the workmanship behind everything that they have presented today. We can see that they know exactly what is going on in our society and what should be done. What I really appreciate is the fact that they are very balanced in the way they are looking at the solution to this particular problem. They have brought it very clearly that it is not one side. We live in this society, both of us, and if there's a challenge, we all must look for a solution together. So it is not women alone, neither is it men. And what I love also is that they're saying that we cannot blame the victim, yes, and forget about the perpetrator. All of them equally have something to do. So either the victim should change, the perpetrator should also change. I also loved what they have said about the systems and the cultures and the rest of the things. I appreciate them, and I appreciate a lot of effort. I know there's a lot of support that has gone on behind the scenes. Please appreciate your support system and encourage them to keep on the good work. I also want to thank you, the Debating for Emerging Voices Club. You are doing marvelous effort. Long live the club. Thank you.
Wow, long live the club. Time this side of heaven is always a challenge. And because time has moved on, we'll have to stop here. But with just 2 thoughts, one that I hope they'll answer for me in the future. One, what goes on in the perpetrator's mind? What goes on in their mind? That probably is another discussion for a different day. Then number 2, when most of our speakers were speaking, they said women should be supported, women should be empowered. The question is, who does that responsibility lie on? Who are we pointing? If we were to write a letter and say this is our response as Debating for Emerging Voices, who are we going to face squarely and tell that person you know what? You've got to take responsibility. That is just a thought as we go into the night. Otherwise, Grace George, Stacy. By the way, let me be honest, Stacy is the brain behind this discussion. She's the one who came up with this topic. I think together with the others, but she's the one who communicated. Grace has been preparing. Lillian has been calling. Douglas, you are an amazing team. And the coaches, God bless you. People send a lot of congratulations on the screen to these wonderful people. And we want to thank the American Embassy for enabling and equipping us to reach where we've reached. Surely if we didn't have a base, we would not be here today. So we are very thankful and ask, and of course we must thank Almighty God. So can I ask somebody to say a prayer? Just a short prayer as we finish. Lillian Kimilu. Coach Lillian. It's just because your name came.
Thank you. Let's pray. Let's believe and pray. Our Father and our God, we thank you for the session we have just had. Thank you, Lord, for giving us the opportunity to have such a chance to express our thoughts. I want to thank you for each and every participant who was here, oh God. How we pray this evening that you're going to protect us, you're going to cover us with the blood of Jesus. When we see our morning